and welcome back to another episode of the Inside Lines podcast. I'm your host, Atoya Burleson.
And I'm Tia Averill.
Coming up a bit later in the show, we'll be chatting with Shirdkevia Jackson, founder of Embrace with Grace and wife of NFL corner J.C. Jackson. We'll also be getting into our hot take this week, where we'll be sharing our take on the relationship between 50 Cent and his son Marquise. But first, Tia, what have you been up to? What's going on?
Listen, you know what? I had another chill weekend. Like, we are in the midst of preparing to move, not preparing to move, contractors having issues, like the whole nine. So we just kind of been working through, troubleshooting, different things going on with that. And then, okay, so this is my first time having a sixth grader boy.
A middle schooler.
Okay? A middle schooler, right? And he's entering this like interesting phase where I feel like he's like trying to test his limits, but also trying to establish like who he is, you know, amongst these group of, you know, boys, because he's one of the younger sixth graders. And I don't know if I like this phase. Listen, I'm like,
This
I don't
too
think
shall
Atoya
pass.
warned me about this one.
Just get through the awkwardness of middle school. That's all I'm gonna say. It is awkward AF. Get through it, and then come on out on the other side for high school. Just get through it, girl. That's all I can say.
Girl, but what's been going on with you? Okay, we had some fun times on Friday, I hear.
Yes, I had a good weekend. We had some friends in town, but we also had a playoff game on Friday. We had a big game on Friday, and that game determined playoffs. So we won big. So my boys are now entering playoffs for football starting this Friday. It should be fun. I'm super excited for them. And, you know, what I realized is I got to pace myself when I drink. Sometimes I still think I'm in college. And, oh, my gosh, the struggle be so real. If y'all can't tell, my eyes are barely open. These lights are so bright. I feel like I've been blinking like every other word. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
But that is my reality.
A little background. Toy called or texted this morning, like, give me a few. Had a rough night.
The struggle
rough
bus.
morning.
Struggle bus, y'all.
That is hilarious. Okay, but wait a minute. You celebrated senior night on Friday night at this game.
And I had to tell myself multiple times when I was on the field, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry, which I did not cry. But you know, how I got through it was I went and got some window markers and snuck up to my son's school and put senior night on his windows and went and got a bunch of balloons and put them in his room and just really tried to celebrate him and all he's accomplished so far. And just let him know that I'm so proud of him. And sometimes in being proud of your kids and all their accomplishments, it gets a little emotional and you get a little watery-eyed. But I'm so thankful for him. He went through all the first parenting mistakes of life that he had to endure those with me. And he was my little road dog. We went everywhere together and I couldn't ask for a better firstborn. So senior night was very emotional. But I think it's just, you got to go through it. You got to find things to look at it from a positive perspective and enjoy it and take it all in. So we had fun. It was a good time.
Nice. Well, congratulations, Lil Nate. I told Cliff, I was like, Lil Nate got senior night tonight. He was like, what? Oh, we old as hell. Like, we are old.
Right. Right. So these grades, they're agreeing. I got some grades in my baby hair coming in. So that we are definitely getting there. All right, enough about that. Let's get into this week's hot takes. All right, it's time for this week's hot takes. Tia, what we got?
Okay, so this week in hot takes, we are discussing rapper 50 Cent and his relationship with his son Marquise. Now, I'm sure you all know who Marquise is. He's 26 years old now, but over the years, him and 50 have had a pretty contentious relationship. They've gone back and forth in the media with TMZ and every other blog site you can think of. But then also, of course, you know, just the nitpicking, going back and forth with interviews and stuff like that. But what 50 Cent is essentially saying is when he made it big, the mother, Marquise's mother, felt entitled to his money, his fame, and things of that nature. So 50 Cent was putting away $500,000 a year for Marquise and his mom. Like that was his child support on his own doing. Like, this is what you get, right?
Right.
And she wanted more. And so he put himself on child support because he was like, this lady is ridiculous, putting her on child support. And so then child support, the court system determined that the child support was a little under $7,000 a year. And so that's what he did. He paid his monthly, or excuse me, not a year, a month. And so that's what he did. He paid his child support, moved on with life. And over time, the mom's thoughts and how she felt about 50, she, of course, influenced the son. And so the son started speaking bad about 50 and things of that nature. Now, I do want to go out on the limb and say, number one, I hate that I am even in a position to possibly side with 50 Cent, because we know 50 can be real controversial, right? But in this situation, granted, we don't know, all of every side of the story. This seems very plausible because we see it happening, right? So overall, getting back to this Breakfast Club interview that 50 Cent just had last week, Charlamagne asked, was 50 interested in repairing that relationship? And 50 Cent said no. That he said that, over time, like their back and forths, like the entitlement he feels like his son has, like he does not want any parts of it. And he said something quite interesting where he said, you give somebody $1 million and they don't respect you, how much money will you take? How much money do you think it'll take for them to have respect for you? And so my question to you, Atoya, is, do you think 50 is wrong for not wanting to repair this relationship with his son?
I do not think that 50 is wrong. I don't necessarily think he's right either, and I'll explain that. But I understand that his son Marquise is 26 years old, and he is now at the point where he can make his own decisions. I think for the 18 years of his life that he was under his mom's roof, he definitely probably was brainwashed into believing that his dad was who his mother told him that he was, instead of forming that relationship with his dad between the two of them. So I say that to say I can understand why 50 does not want to deal with his son anymore, especially when you've tried and your mom has made you believe that he is this terrible person that didn't take care of us, that didn't do this for us. And it just goes back to the entitlement part of, like, I don't know why women choose to have babies with stars and or important people that have money and feel like just because they made a baby with them, they're entitled to all their money. Like, I think that is ridiculous. And she was very greedy because he was giving her $500,000 a year, and that wasn't enough for one child. Like, what are we doing? That's crazy. So I would say I understand why 50 doesn't want to have that relationship with him. But I think it'll come a time when the both of them will have that conversation later. And it has to be in a setting that does not include the mom. And they're both in a humility stage where they're able to just sit and listen to the other person and hear them out for what they have to say without other people in the back of their ears or heads saying something different. So it's sad because, once again, it's another child that doesn't have their father in their lives. And that it could have been avoided if some of these baby moms would stop doing too much. Period. So your take is you don't think he's wrong for not desiring that relationship? Yeah, I understand why. Like, okay. And to me, it's not even about the money. Like, it's about the money, but like, how much money you don't even need money to have a great relationship with someone. Think about all the great relationships we have, Tia. Like some of your it does not revolve around a dollar sign, right? And I think that they are missing that side of it. I think on both sides they're missing that side of it. What do you think? Okay, so I do think he's wrong for not having a desire to repair that relationship. I understand where he's coming from, though. So to your point of the whole entitlement and things of that nature, like, number one, for both men and women, I really wish people would wrap their heads around who they choose to lay down with.
And the possibility of this one time that you lay down with this person, it having lifelong consequences. So for both of them, so number one, 50 Cent has been a troll of all trolls his entire life. Okay. So if you choose to lay down with him, you are choosing to expose yourself to that level of trollery, right?
That's true.
Right. And I don't care if y'all were 17 years old, if y'all 30 years old, like this is what, like you have to be mature enough to make those type of decisions. Right. But then to your point of like just the entitlement, like as 50 grew fame and money and stuff like that, like people desire that and there's a jealousy around that. Right. And so I wholeheartedly can see his child's mother desiring that same level of fame and wealth and things of that nature. And $500,000 a year for one child.
That's crazy.
Like even if you desired more money, like you could have flipped that yourself. Like you had the opportunity to start businesses, to do things. Exactly. Because what I will say is 50 Cent is good about putting people on. You know what I mean? So like if there was some sort of entrepreneurship or some sort of entrepreneurial spirit, then I'm sure along the way, like she could have done way more with that 500, right?
Absolutely.
And let's say, what if she say, oh, it wasn't 500, it was two, even $200,000 a year, you know, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So I get all of that. And I also get the notion of being frustrated with a child, like a child with a grown mouth. Right. Like you gonna nitpick with me and, just keep the run in your mouth and stuff like that. I get all of that. And I also get responding with that level of frustration, anger, like you feeling disrespected, like all the things. But at the end of the day, that's your child. Right. And like you have the ability to set the type of boundaries that you need in order for you to have the type of relationship that you desire. Right. And at 26, you are an adult and you can think for yourself and you can look back and say, okay, well, I know my mom was trying to move in the best interest of me, but in doing so, or in what she thought was the best interest of me, but in reality, that didn't work for me, or that wasn't good for me because now I don't have a relationship with my dad. Right. And so for 50 Cent at his big age to be able to sit down and have a grown adult conversation with his child about what has taken place and what his boundaries are, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
So I do think that he's wrong for not developing a relationship. But this goes a step further. When we think about our friends in the NFL and the NBA, NHL, the whole nine,
child.
Like it makes me think about what we do to kids sometime. Like we tell them when they're growing up. When you make it big, when you make it to the league, when you make it to the NFL, NBA, NHL, baseball, MLB, whatever the name, then you gonna buy your mama a house. You're going to buy your mama a car. Like you're going to take care of us. We going to do all of these things, right? Because you owe us. And I don't think that type of stuff is right. Like, I don't think anybody is entitled to somebody else's hard work. Yes, you helped them.
Absolutely.
Yes, y'all moved through some difficult times, but give them the opportunity to want to do something nice for you, to want to take care of you, and don't like force it on them like they owe you that. Because, But anyway,
other people's expectations. No, but you're 100% right, because other people's expectations are not yours to feel. Like it doesn't matter. Like to your point about talking about, let's just say, NFL for us. We've seen all of these NFL players stressed out because all of these family members are asking and telling them what they should do for them with their money. It's crazy to me. It is so mind-boggling. And it's like, how do we get here? And these guys are out there busting their butts. They're the ones working out. They're the ones hurt. They're the ones going to rehab. And mentally, they're exhausted because everybody's pulling and tugging on them, asking for a house, a car. I'm quitting my job. Oh, I'm doing this. Oh, I'm doing that. You gonna take care of me? Like, no, you're an adult. Like, there's where in the pamphlet does it say when you have a child and they make more money than you, then it is their responsibility to take care of you. Like, that's crazy. And then it never ends, because the people that want a house, guess what? How are you going to pay for everything else that goes along with that house if you have no job? How are you going to pay for, the house insurance? How are you going to pay the bills that come along with that house? How are you going to fix things that get busted up in homes? Like, it's just, there's so much stress that they put on these players, and it's unfair. And I wish that we would stop brainwashing other people into thinking that they owe them something. No one owes you anything.
Not a damn thing.
All right, enough about that. That's it for this week's Hot Takes. Coming up next, our conversation with Shirdkevia Jackson. On the show today, we have Shirdkevia Jackson. She hails from Miami, Florida. She is the wife of number 27 of the Los Angeles Chargers, J.C. Jackson. She has 4 children, and she started a nonprofit called Embrace with Grace that helps women find themselves through improving their mental health, finding their purpose, and manifesting their dreams. Please welcome to the show, Shirdkevia Jackson. Hey!
Hey, girls.
How are you?
I'm blessed. Can't complain.
Well, we just thank you so much. We're good. We're excited to have you on, and we thank you so much for coming on. Okay, so I have a question. I'm going to start off with this. I know you're from Miami, Florida, and you were raised in Overtown. Do you consider yourself a city girl?
All the way. Period.
Talk about what that means if people want to know.
Oh, my God. So basically, where I'm from Overtown, and that's next to downtown. It's like a block away from downtown. And we are an inner city. We're a group, like we are raised around big buildings. And we always run into celebrities. Like, it's normal for us. And so when you say city girl, it's like we are a real city girl.
Real life city girl.
Yeah, I got a little Yolanda Adams sprinkled down in me a little bit.
Deep in my heart.
The battle is not yours, but yes, like so I do consider myself a real city girl.
Okay.
You
got to tell us some city girls. Tell us like one of your favorite moments, something that you remember growing up.
Ooh, okay. So it's so funny because in high school I used to rap. Okay. And I was like a really good rapper. Yeah, I used to rap. It was like,
you're going to have to send us some tracks.
Oh, listen.
Wait, you're gonna have to give us some on here.
Y'all can't see her, but she ready.
Y'all
can't see her, but she instantly got right back into it. Okay,
I feel like
step on the stage.
I feel like she might remember some of them bars. You might have to just grace us with like a couple bars real quick. No pressure.
Listen, I do remember a bunch. Listen, oh my God.
She's like, I'm not about to do this.
This is gonna be a whole show, but but growing up in Miami and in the city of Miami, it really taught me to be a person of survival. Like, it's like an inner thing inside of us that we have to be forced to survive. Like, where I'm from, we didn't have like the culture of, how can I say it? We didn't like it. We are talented people, and I grew up around a lot of talented people. Like me and JT, that's my close friend. We grew up together, and it was so weird, like the way things played up. Like she is a city girl. Actually, she's a part of the City Girls, and she's living in her dreams. And it's like an amazing thing to see, to like actually see this go on for her. And like me as a mom, like we both never seen this happen for neither one of us. And we have like that inner city like spirit of we here. Like, this is our purpose. Like, what is your purpose, And I always felt like growing up in Miami, like God will use me to be a light to women, because the way I was raised, the way I grew up, the environment I grew up in, and to see that God has really put me in a position, I can say, to be a wife, to be a mother of 4, like I wasn't prepared, but I just knew that my platform would be big. Like he would use me in a mighty way, if that makes sense. And
let's talk about that. Let's talk about growing up. Like growing up, talk about what you went through and what you did see, what you witnessed, and how that's shaped who you are now.
So growing up, I'm a mother. My mom has 4 kids. I'm her only girl, and we was
So
raised
you ran a house.
Girl, listen, they couldn't stand me. It was like her way or no way. It was like I was the one that always took lead. Like I was always the child that stood up for the right. Like, no, you know. So growing up, my mom, she raised us single, and she was a single parent mom. We had the best of everything. And you know, one thing about Miami, I don't know, I can't speak for other people in different states or different cities, but when you're raised in an inner city in Miami, it kind of like forces you in a lifestyle where you have to, like a popularity thing. Like I was always popular. My family is huge, and we always was like the topic of whatever it is. Like my brothers was high profile football players. They both went to big colleges like University of Miami. My brother was a star quarterback at UF, and we literally always was like the topic of whatever it is. My mom had us in every sports, everything, and we was like well known. I was like a dancer in high school on the band, so I was like a little golden girl.
Okay.
Like so growing up there and to witness my mom to be single, and she worked 2 jobs, and it was like a struggle. So we embraced that. We loved each other. We stood together. We always knew like we would have a platform of what it is. But I feel that growing up, when you're being raised in survival and love at the same time, we don't really know who we really is because we're so defensive. Like in Miami, I was taught to defend myself. You know, I had a lot of oppositions. A lot of people didn't like me, I can say, for whatever reason. You know, it comes with that inner life. Like my mom couldn't just say, oh, let me take Shirdkevia and put her in a different school on the other side of the world. You know, like I had to go to that school that's near my home. That's where I could walk to. That was, you know, it was kind of like a survival, and it built this kind of, I would say, defensive person inside of me.
You had to figure it out while you were there.
Yeah, like it's really like that in Miami, and you have to be strong. Like that's why I salute and take my hats off to people that grow up from there and they get in a position to be successful and to have that mindset of, I remember where I came from. Like I remember like hearing gunshots down the street, and we could just, they just shooting down there. Like, let's just lay on the floor. Like I grew up that way, and I used to always tell myself, like, when you get up and if you have kids, they will not, like, God, what is it? And to this day, like I literally like thank God that my kids do not have to witness what I've witnessed growing up.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like
we always want better for our kids than what we went through. It's so true.
Yes.
I was going to say, I know that you mentioned that you witnessed your mom experiencing domestic violence and stuff. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So when I was like, she was in a relationship, and it was like very verbally, like a relationship where she was in love with her significant other, that my little brother's father, and he was like very abusive. Like I can say he didn't do anything to us. Like he was the world's greatest person to us. Like so it was hard for us to even look at him like. But to see that it kind of like made me be in a position that I would never be, like I would never put myself in.
Yeah.
Like, Mom, why you didn't leave? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, I see women get in that. You know, women get stuck in stuff that they feel they can't escape. And as a little girl,
did you feel like that while it was happening, or more so like when you grew up and you started having
as I was
kids?
growing?
Gotcha.
Like my mom was the world's greatest mom, so it kind of like we was kind of not like she kept us busy. Like it didn't really affect us, but I believe the older we got, it did, because it was like we need you in certain areas, and here you is, you know, like
yes.
And I asked my mom, because you know she's a mother of 4, and I'm like, Mom, how did you do it? She's like, I thought about my kids. like, I thought about y'all because we had everything. Like, we had cars in high school, everything. You know, in Miami, that culture there, it makes you like materialistically, I can say, like that hood life.
Like
it makes you kind of like,
almost.
yeah, it's kind of like, seriously, it's really backwards. But you know, like growing up in Miami, like the music, the people, the food, the like, it's a lifestyle. And even if you're in the poverty, you live in a lifestyle. Like it's scary. Like it really is to grow up like that and then not know who you really is without it. You know, like your dreams crash. Like, who am I? Because I'm used to like living for validation. I'm used to living for being the topic of the discussion. Like it grows you into that. Like that's where we grew up. I grew up around that, honestly. And I'm talking about people wearing, like now I scroll and I see my old friends with their kids. Girl, they be wearing like, they kids be wearing Fendi. I'm like, ooh, they going to school. I'm like, ooh, that's so cute. I'm like, you know, like, cause and then you get older and I see people can't keep that up in the mind. These children, like, who am I? And me as a girl, a young lady that grew up from there, it's so important to know who you are.
Yeah.
Like, who are you? Like,
versus what
purpose?
society tells you.
Oh, that's the biggest suffering.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing that I had to rediscover myself and to get thrown in a position like this. Like, who are you? Even though it's easily now access to you, but who are you without it? And that's where it's like a story.
Did you find yourself, okay, so I'm thinking about you as when you said you were discovering yourself or trying to figure out who you were. Did you find yourself at some point kind of lost in the sense of, you know, having the title of being someone's wife and being someone's mom? Did that kind of encapsulate you, and then for a while you forgot who you are and you're like, I need to figure out who I am again. Like, I'm a different person. Talk about that a little bit.
So, it didn't dwell on me at first. You know, in 2018, when I moved to Boston, I was a mother of two at the time. I didn't see it coming. I really didn't see it coming. It came, little Gerald was like 7 months. So my first time moving out of home into my man and my family, we starting our whole life completely over. And at first I'm like, oh, it's gonna be fine. Like it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be what I imagined, like what I thought. At first I thought it was going to be like, it didn't dwell on me that I lost myself, but I did see the burdens of like me transforming over to the little Shirdkevia at around her family and her life, like what she had, go to something that's totally, totally different. It's kind of like picked me up and put me in an island without a map. You know, like it felt like I felt that lost. Like I was on an island, me and my husband, without a map. You know.
So you're referring to you going to Boston for him to play with the Patriots?
Yes.
Right,
yes.
right.
Oh
Okay.
my God. It was like.
Yeah.
What was the hardest part?
The hardest part was sitting there, see everything come to pass with him, but all of my dreams was sacrificed, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like to see, like, and I enjoy it. Like I lived for that. Like that was mind blowing. It was like, God, you are real. You know, to see us go to the Super Bowl, you know, the first year, to see him go on the field and do his thing. Like, and then I'm like, okay. I look in the mirror, I'm like, okay, what about you? You gonna be a mom? What, you gonna wash clothes all day? You gonna cook food? You gonna test some encouraging words? You know, like, but it was like a big old...
Hey, and she is spitting bars, hashtag bars, because she ain't lying. You're like, this is what we gonna do every day.
Like,
But I can
like,
imagine like it even being next level, because when you speak about Miami being like this city of hustlers, like y'all getting to it, to now you are slowed down just in your pursuit of whatever hustle.
It just was never in me to be like the girl. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
it was like I had purpose. Like I have purpose. Like I have things that I still love to do, things that I know that God will use me to be like a voice to the youth, the voice to the young girls in the millennium generation now of, everybody want to be it. Everybody want to look like it, but do you have the courage, the wisdom to walk that walk when you there?
Yeah.
And that's the problem. It looked like that. But until you get into that, are you going to be steadfast? Are you going to have the wisdom? Are you going to go straight? Are you going to be able to handle those things in the midst of an inner city girl that had no preparation to be a wife, to be a leader, to build a ministry, to raise four kids? I left Miami with 2 and I go back with 4. Like, what is going on, and then in the midst of me finding myself, and when I started having my little girls, that's when it dwelled on me, like, okay, it's time for you to live your purpose now.
Having those girls.
What did you do to, get unstuck, right? So, if you feel, while you're feeling lost and you don't know who you are, you don't know what your purpose is now, what did you do to kind of help you rediscover that?
Prayer. I got so close to God. I literally, it was a situation, it started to become like, nobody can help you but God. It was literally that. And I had to give it all up. I had to give up the old me for the renewal. I had to get my strength from him. I had to get my guidance. I had to get up every morning and tell myself, I got this. I had to still believe, even if it looked like it wouldn't, I can't even bear it. I had to really give up some things to receive what God had for me. And that's where I am today. And that's what gets me through everything is God. And I started building my relationship with God. I started getting deeply in my spirituality of a woman of God. And I just was like, you didn't bring me this far to leave me or forsake me. You got me this far for a reason. What is it? And God just started bringing that. People start coming into my life, and they brought me closer to him as well, and I started meeting new friends. I start to really open up and become like the little girl that was suffering, the little girl that didn't really know herself, the little girl that grew up without a father figure, that I had to literally tell God, even when I was angry. And God when I tell you, my whole life have changed since God been involved. And I give him the glory for it. I give him all the glory for that. Yeah.
It does. There is a point where you do find that you realize there's no one that can help me with God. It's like my relationship with him is what brings me through. It's what's going to help strengthen me through whatever it is that I'm going through. Yeah. And you can talk to all these different people, but they can't help you. It definitely is that time that you spend with him that you really start to know who you are and you build strength in that. So
yes.
I'm glad that you shared that.
Thank you. Yes.
So I want to talk about, you talked about, finding your strength in God, and you look back to little Shirdkevia to now. And during that time, you had your first child. You were young, 19 years old. Were you thinking, what am I going to do? How did you find the strength to get through that at such a young age? When, to your point, everybody around you is living that city life, Miami life. Tell us about what went through your mind during that time.
I didn't know if I was coming or going. I was like, I always had a job and I always went to school. I went to college for 2 years and I was like, what do I want to do? Like, I done had this baby, he's here. And I just saw myself going back in memory lane, where I wanted to be a nurse one time. Then I wanted to be in health management. Then I wanted to be it was a therapist. I went to school in so many areas, but I just, like you said, growing up around all these distractions of, I ain't gonna never be that, or I need to work. I have to take care of my child too. Like, how can I go to school full time when my mom has to be to work full time? Like I have to be to work full time. Like I just was literally in a state where I didn't know what to do, but I always had a nice job and I went to school part time, and that's how I met Gerald. And I was like, okay, God, what are you doing? So I just went with him, and
you got to tell us the story now. Come on.
Yeah.
How'd y'all meet?
Oh God.
Let's hear it.
Okay. So we met in 2015.
Okay.
Yeah, 2015. And I was going to Santa Fe in Gainesville, and he was at University of Florida. He was with my brother, who was the starting quarterback.
Okay.
And we just, my sister-in-law, she asked me to go out. And she's like, oh, I want you to go out with me. And I'm like, girl, I got to go to work tomorrow. I can't. And she's like, no, we just going to be there for a little bit. I'm like, okay. And we end up going out. And my brother rushed to the door like, my sister. And I'm like, wait, relax a little bit. It was like him and all these football players and stuff like that. And they was trying to figure out, like, who is that? Who that girl is over there? But he wasn't having it. So
Who's the new
I wasn't even having it. I was like ready to go anyways. I'm like, I don't want none of that.
Right.
And when I went to the bathroom, I saw Gerald, and he was on the wall by himself, and I found that attractive. I was like, oh, he ain't in the crowd, okay. But I didn't know that was him. I didn't know that was my brother friend. I'm like, oh. This guy, we kept giving each other eye contact, but it was like hilarious. And one time I went to a spring game, and it was like some weeks later, I would say like a month and a half later, I went to a spring game to support my brother. And his dad walked up to me and was like, I think I like you for my son. And I'm like, who is your son? Who is your son? And it was like a coincidence. His son is the guy that we had eye contact in the club. Like,
that is so funny.
It was so funny. And then when we met there. We exchanged numbers, and
so wait, his dad set y'all up. Like his dad was like, "Come meet my son."
Yeah, and I was like, it was kind of like he set us up, but it was kind of like we had a little crush, but he was like in his little prime or whatever in college, and I didn't have time anyway. So I'm like, I'm working, I'm going to school. Yeah. It sounds cute, but whatever. It's kind of like I think it's kind of like it was meant to be, because it was kind of like a situation that I never was put in to, and we met, and when we actually got to see the night that my husband called me, at the time, my boyfriend, my friend, called me to actually see me, because every day he was like, I'm coming to see you. And I'm like, I'll let you know when I'm off, or I'll let you know. And the day that I decided to say, okay, he could come see you, we was going to the movies. We had plans to go to the movies. And it was so crazy and it was kind of like a bittersweet situation, because he called me, and I'm thinking he's going to call me and say, hey, I'm outside. But when he called me, he was calling me to tell me he was turning himself in jail. And that's how we became close ever since. Okay. If you go back on history and you look up like his college career, the whole journey of, what he'd been through, he was facing, I believe it was like 40 years in prison. And he got kicked out of school. And I was like his friend. I was just there every step of the way. I didn't want to be. I didn't at the time. I'm like, what is this? And I didn't have time to actually be there for him, but I did.
How long had you guys been talking before this? When this happened, like how long had you guys already been talking?
Like a month.
So you'd already established a friendship.
We was just like testing buddies or calling all the time. So that's why it was kind of weird to me to even be like, do I want to be there for real? Like, but I felt so bad. Like,
and you probably after a month of talking to someone every day, you know that they're not that person. So you probably you believed him.
He didn't give me that. It was kind of like I felt bad. And that time I had just started school in Gainesville. I left Miami. And I was lonely too. Like, it was kind of like we both were like finding ourselves. I
Y'all
would
needed
say.
each other in that moment.
Yeah, it was like that. Yeah. Like he was there for me at that time because that's when I was really like, I got to go get this degree. I got to go and change my life. Like I'm getting out of Miami. I need to know who am I? And I was in that state at the time. We did me too. So to see him go through that, I was like, I just want someone to be there for me too. And I know he wants somebody. It was kind of like that.
Yeah.
And we actually been together ever since. Like we got closer and stronger, and to see everything come to pass was mind blowing. Like I didn't even see NFL. Actually, I didn't see it. I didn't even believe it. Like I'm just gonna be here, and it just. I just kept saying, just don't give up. You know, I used to take him to training. I was like, workouts, and he went to JUCO, then he went here.
That's what I want to talk about. He had to literally start over. When he was acquitted of everything, it didn't matter at that point in the sense of it mattered because he had his freedom, but it did matter in the sense of the universities, all the things that he had done before, they were no longer there. So he had to go to JUCO and he had to start over. And for one, it's awesome that you were there supporting him through all of that. And for him, I'm sure mentally that was hard to start over, and then you have to go to JUCO and prove yourself all over again. Talk about that journey for the both of you, because it was new for the both of you, and doing that together.
That was the hardest part of our relationship. Like we were still young, you know, like we didn't know what was next. All we knew was to get up and keep going. It was kind of like a mind-blowing situation, and it was sad, like the times he did had to leave, you know. And I'm like so used to him being with me in the midst of everything going on. And but I kind of like held on to the faith, you know, like I held on whatever he wanted at the time to do, like, and I believe not giving up was not an option. So it kind of kept me motivated too, to like, know, like, this is what it is, you know, like this is your boyfriend at the time. This is who you in love with. You guys love each other. And I just went with the flow, and I got kind of like stronger. Honestly, I started to know who was like my real friends in the midst of the journey, and who was my real support system in the midst of the journey. And it kind of like brought a lot of things to light in that, like who really is for us. So it kind of like we went through the stage of knowing who's for us first before God actually put us in a position to where we are now. We had to find that out at the beginning, not at the end, you know, something like that. That makes sense. Yeah.
How was it? Because there's a lot of blended families, blended families that we come across. How was it? Because you brought your son into the relationship, but at the same time, both of you guys were young. Too. How was the blending of that situation, given everything that was going on, you guys being young, etc.?
It was like a normal thing. Actually, the embrace love that he gave to my son, it was like beautiful.
How old was he at that time?
He was 3.
Oh, that's such a cute stage.
I know, and that's how he got me. It was like, you know, and he will take him to the park. He will, you know, take him to Feed the Ducks, go get ice cream. It was kind of like being that father that, you know, I never had, that he don't have, you know, around. And it was kind of like loving, and it really made us closer. Like Poppy was the glue to us. So, yeah.
That's beautiful.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
So I want to talk about, so fast forward, you went through this tough time. He goes to JUCO. He then transfers to the university. He obviously does well. He makes it to the NFL. You guys are together through all of this. Now you are he's a New England Patriot. You move to Boston. Tell us about that experience as far as you guys won a Super Bowl and, you know, just the build up to that.
Ooh. It was beautiful. It was like honestly, the first year he went to the Super Bowl, and that was like the first year of everything. Like we go to the Super Bowl. We go to the parade. We go to the ring ceremony. And my husband's head was bigger than a hot air balloon. And I had to sit.
I love it.
Did you
So
deflate
me
it?
being me,
Did you
you
let
know.
him be him?
He was like a baby Floyd Mayweather. I was like, okay. You know.
Baby Floyd.
It was amazing, right? To experience it, you know.
Yeah.
And it was
That is
gorgeous.
hilarious.
It was,
That is who everybody compares, like the most like arrogant,
Flamboyant,
like, the most confident people ever. Floyd.
oh,
Floyd.
baby. It was like, okay, Gerald. Okay, JC Jackson. You know, it was like that. And I just had to let him live in his moment. Like, I understand.
Yeah.
And I hold
Especially
on.
after all he went through, too, to be
Ooh,
like,
that even made it like,
That's right.
y'all got something to prove. Like,
Yes.
you know, y'all counted me out. You know, it was kind of like that build up.
It all
And
came out.
It came out. It came out. I'm sitting there, you know, I'm like, oh, this is the fireworks and the press and the people. It was like you was just in Overtown, you know,
Yeah.
like you was just in Overtown. Now you at a Super Bowl, you know, like, oh
Yeah.
my God. It was kind of like mind blowing. I'm telling you, it was like a Cinderella story. Like, and the experience was amazing, you know, for our kids to see. Well, Jace wasn't, I think he had just turned 1 that week. But, you know, he didn't know what was going on. But to see Poppy, like, thrilled and, you know, me just being thrilled, his family, you know, everybody that played a part in his life, to see that, it was kind of mind-blowing to all of us. Like, we was just like,
That's
wow,
beautiful.
you know, coming from what he just went through, and then the same, you know, to overcome those things, and everybody was just amazed. Like, it was gorgeous. It was just, we had to let him have his moment.
Yeah.
You know, like, let him live a little bit.
And
he
then-
made it, you know.
And he also went to the Pro Bowl as well.
He did. This last Pro Bowl, he just went to the Pro Bowl. Yes, he did.
How was that?
That was fun. It didn't give me Super Bowl vibes, you know, like so serious, you know, like,
Yeah.
you know,
So
so
just having a good time.
focused. Yeah, it was like fun. It was a good experience for all of us. We did so many events, you know, to see him out there practice with other like stars and good athletes like that's like, you know, Pro Bowlers, I can say. And it was just like an experience of family. And to see like his accomplishments was like,
Celebrated.
It reached the
Yeah.
top. And yeah.
this was
so
in,
that was
they did the Pro Bowl in Orlando this year, right?
no, it was in Vegas.
Oh, Vegas.
Yes.
Got it,
Yeah.
got it.
We had fun.
How can you
know
not
y'all
have fun in
did.
Vegas?
Did y'all-
Okay.
I don't know, right? We had fun. It was kind of like, well, me honestly traveling now with 4 kids. That's the only part that gets me. That's the only thing. Like, it's the traveling. It's not actually when we get there, what we doing. That comes. It's the traveling. Like,
Yeah.
I'm 4 kids plus me.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
like
a lot.
That's a
That's a lot of tickets.
Especially with these flight prices
hotels,
right now. Listen.
You name it, girl. Ooh, gotta feed all y'all.
Ain't coming from the West
Good
Coast.
Lord.
Listen, the party size have gotten extremely over. Like, what is this? I'm like, what is this? I don't even
Family
believe
of
it
6.
sometimes.
Real talk.
It was so
I
funny
do
because
have a
Poppy.
question.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say this funny joke that my oldest told me when I was pregnant with Dream, the last baby. He's like, every time I turn around, you pregnant.
Oh, shit.
I'm gonna just stop turning around. I'm gonna just stop turning around. I say, baby, don't turn around. You ain't
Please
gonna have to
stop
turn
turning
around.
Listen, he
And
right.
How old is he? How old is he?
He's 11.
That's how
Oh,
you
my
feel.
God, that
I
was
told
the
Nate, I
funniest.
said, every time we move, I'm pregnant. I'm not moving or getting pregnant no more. I'm gonna just sit still because
I can't.
there's some correlation here somehow. Somehow, some way.
After each kid, I hurried up and put that IUD in there. There was not going to be any oopsies, okay?
You know what? I had an
so funny.
IUD as well, but mine, I don't even know where my IUD is. It got lost. I don't know if it fell out. I don't know if it's still in me. I had to, girl. So ever since
That's
then,
why I'm afraid
like,
to get that. I heard those
Yes.
stories.
The doctor
No.
looked, she's like, it must have fell out. It's nowhere in here. It's just gone.
Oh my God. Oh my
So
God.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, so
That
that's why I was
is.
like, well, and then I got pregnant with me. I was like, well, I guess it was meant to have another
Yes,
one.
it came out.
But I ain't getting another one. I told Nate, you got to get fixed, bruh, because I'm done. I ain't getting nothing up in me. I ain't getting nothing clipped and tied. And no, your turn.
I'm afraid to touch my body. Like, I'm like, what are you going to do? Because no more.
Yes.
But you know
can't.
what though? Like we, for the most part, been on birth control for so long already at this point that I'm like, yeah, it is time for you to do something different.
Yeah.
Okay, because if I get stuff removed, I'm gonna have to supplement in another way. So I don't want to do
Right.
it. But I do have a question. So I know you talked
Yes.
about growing up in Miami, the environment being like very materialistic, what you have on, what you got, stuff of that nature. So then you go into the NFL and it's essentially the same type of environment. Like, how did you handle like not falling into that trap all over again?
That was the hardest. That was hard for me because my mom raised, like, I had everything. Like, honestly, I was like, whatever was in style, I'm in it, you know. Getting in that position where it's like, especially the expectations. I think when I got closer to God, He helped me get through that. Like, He allowed certain things to take place for me to be without, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like,
so you felt like, okay, I'm about to have some fun with this money. I'm about to get this. And then you realize, like, I don't need all this all the time. Like, was it kind of like that? You realize, like,
yes, I've realized, like, the kids, like the lifestyle for the kids means more than what I look like, because I'm still finding I'm lost. Like, I don't want to look like it's a growing family going on. This is huge. Like, I don't want to look like I have it going on. I want to actually know how it feels to have it going on, like in my inner self first.
That's good.
So I had to accept it, and it was an ugly thing. It was very ugly. My friends, they always to this day, they're like, girl, you got all this stuff. You got this stuff. I'm like, I do, because I still love this stuff. But, like,
it doesn't make me who I am.
Yeah, and I think this millennium generation is really big on that right now. I think that's the hardest thing for a lot of people, because you see a lot of Black people being successful just for making TikTok videos, they can make one quick a funny video and they just famous,
Yes.
and then, they get in that position and they really living for the validation of people. And I had to go through this tunnel of being okay with being validated, and I don't care about it. That materialistic world is kind of like, who don't like nice things? Like,
right.
Come on.
But it doesn't make you who you are. You don't have to be
really
dripped from head to toe. You can have a regular outfit on, but you have your pop or your purse or your shoes, and you good. Like,
I'm a Zara girl. I still.
Yeah. And Zara is it.
Legit.
Okay. I love Zara. I like nice things. And I'm glad you asked me that, because that was my hardest thing, like, just coming from Miami and then getting to a spotlight and trying to find myself as a woman, as a mother, as a significant other. Like, who am I? Who am I? Like, without the Louis bags, without, the red bottoms, like, who are you? Are you trying to find yourself and look like you got it going on? And that was my biggest thing that I had to be okay with when God started to speak to me, and He would allow me to be okay to be without sometimes, because you need to get this and put it here. You need to get this and put it up for this. Ain't no time for that right now. Like everybody says, NFL is never guaranteed, And I had to remember in my mind, my wisdom. I started getting so much wisdom and learning that, and to grow in the inner city of looking like you got it going on, to now you can really do have it going on, but who are you without it? Like, what if you go back down? Like, are you still going to go up? Are you still going to love yourself? Are you still going to be strong? Are you going to take care of these kids? Like, are you going to still be the woman of God that He called you to be? And I just agreed with him. I said, yes. Like, I need more of you and less of me type thing.
When you
know?
talk about that, when you talk about the NFL, not being guaranteed forever, I think a lot of people forget that, from the players to the family to everyone. They say NFL stands for not for long, right?
Yes.
So the money that you make, you don't spend. You have to you can spend some of it, but the majority of it you have to save, because you don't know when your last day is going to come. How has it been trying to navigate that world, knowing, okay, your husband worked so hard. He now got this amazing contract, but it could be possibly, which knock on wood, hopefully it's not, but it could be his last contract like this. How do you find the balance of saving and putting things away and not spending? And, because everybody's going to want something. I've been there.
Yeah,
I know.
Family, friends.
Everybody, people come out the woodworks, from, the family to your friends from middle school to your best friend. Everybody wants something.
That you never
Exactly. So how is it navigating that world and understanding, like, okay, I do want to bless some people, but I also want to be smart and save my money and be frugal, because this could be it.
I think we're still learning that part.
Okay.
Honestly, I believe that.
What year is this for him?
Year 5. And this is his first year with the contract, with the big contract. So it's kind of like the crabs in the bucket right now. Like we're there still. So, and it's kind of like, at first, how usually, like, when people dive into it, it happens like right away, and then it kind of eases as the years go. Like, they get drafted and all of that comes at the beginning 8 years, and then it eases off a little bit.
Yeah.
To me, it kind of like he went as a free agent. So we went through the experience of Super Bowl and Pro Bowl and, all of that, all those great things, but it's like we're back at square one now, if that makes sense. Like, we're starting over. And so it feels like a rookie again.
Yeah, that big rookie contract. You're saying like it's a delayed process for him. So most people experience it their rookie season. He's experiencing it year 5.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's hard for family and friends to even grasp the concept of, because to your point, like, he's in the NFL, like, he's an official NFL player, right? And then he won the Super Bowl. So people automatically, they see the glitz and the glamour that comes with the shield and comes with the Lombardi trophy and all the things, but not even realizing, to your point, like, we made some money, but we didn't make like life-changing money just yet. Like, we're still trying to go to it being delayed. Like, family and friends, they don't understand that.
They don't understand. And I think the reason it's hard too, I think when you don't have a lot of money, when you come from, low income, not a lot of money, and you have a family member that makes a lot of money, they think it's just always going to be there. Right? They think it's like the lottery, it's just going to keep raining down. They don't understand you have to pay taxes in every single state that you played in.
Like,
they don't understand. There's so many things that they don't even grasp financially.
The kids' future and the kids
for college,
you after football. Yeah. And
you still don't even know where you're going to live. Like, where are we going to live when we're done playing? We don't even know yet, but everybody else asking for a house. I'm so confused.
Yep.
Yeah. Right? Think about that.
It's true. Like, you just never know. You don't know until you put in that position. And I mean, honestly, I feel that, like, family deserves to have too, like, that's what family is about. Family's going to be there. And I just feel like we're young and we are still trying to figure life out ourselves, and, we have to be watchful, and like the trust issues come along. Like, we don't know who really is who for who, and all of those things play a part. And that's what makes, I believe, that should be a reason family should always sit together. Like, you and I are in this together. So, like, I just feel that a lot of people try to just be like entitled, if that makes sense, and they don't know the position of actually being happy to have all of these things, to feel grateful to have all of these things, and not feel like it's a burden to have all of these things, and to be so young and waiting for this moment to come past is where the struggle of enjoying the now, even though it feels so heavy, you know?
Yeah.
And me as a mom and as a wife, I have to keep the light of my family, you know, like, hey, we gonna get through this. We are, you know, I'm a firm believer that God is God. And when he step in, it's no... You just better move out the way when he step in. Don't get in God's way, you know, like, and I believe because I've seen him do things and I've seen him work in my favor and I've seen God work in my husband's favor, you know, and I stand, I'm a prayer warrior. Like I go to God for everything. Stuff that I feel like I can't handle is too big for me to handle. And I go to God, and I believe that he is just this opportunity of me speaking. Like, this was something I always wanted to do. I'm so glad you reached out to me to do it. And I'm like, how she wrote me, you know, like, and it's like, that's like an answer prayer. Like, how, cause I didn't know how I was going to start. Like, where are you going to start from? I was one of those people, like, I don't know where to start. I'm a housewife, you know, like I'm raising 4 kids. I'm moving across the states, you know, like I don't even know where is this going. Like, what are you going to do, Shirdkevia? And this was like well needed. And I feel a lot of women needs to understand that in the middle of every, like a change, like do not lose faith, you know, even though the road does get bumpy and it gets ugly and we all get, you know, go through that identity crisis of what are we going to do? And, you know, we the ones sacrifice, you know, we the ones that put our career, our life on the side, and we go to figuring like, are we put last for real? You know, like, so I've been there. Yes. We do. And
there's something that you said earlier. You said, you know, being a housewife, you know, is who I am. And I learned this. I don't even remember where I learned it from, but what I learned is being a housewife, it's not who you are, it's where you are. It's just a part of your journey. And I think once I got that across my mind, then it gave me the opportunity to realize I can still start dreaming and journaling and figuring out what I want to do next, because this is where I am now, but it's going to turn, right? And I'm going to end up somewhere else. So, you know, where you are now is not who you are. It's just, it's a part of your journey.
That's along so true. Way. That's a good one. I'm going to use that.
And you have to just start, right? Like you don't have to not pursue your dreams because you are in full-blown mom mode or wife mode, right? Like you can do a little bit at a time. Like it doesn't have to be this either or. It can be both. So that's a hard lesson to learn.
And honestly, like I used to always be like, oh, nice to see, like when I was little growing up, and I'm like, oh, those moms that be home, they don't gotta go to work. They so blessed. Oof. But
and then you like, never mind.
Then when you there, I'm like, shoot, I need to go clock in.
Right.
Right now. This at CVS just to get out the house and see some people, other people. Like,
I want to have adult conversation today. I am tired of talking to kids.
I'm like, what is this? I swear to God, like I literally never seen this coming. But I think that's life. We don't never see nothing coming.
We think we know everything and we don't know nothing.
Listen,
we have all it figured out. That's why in the Bible it says not if it ain't in His will. Like we can have all the plans we want. We can have like I can literally sit here and tell you what I want to do for my birthday, and try to move forward towards that. But you just never know, and that's about the life of everything. You never know. Like you got players that get trade in the middle of the day. Wake up and they have to go to a whole nother team. You never know. And it's like, you never know. And it's like, it's all about you and your light to your family. Like I have to be so strong because you never know.
Yes.
Like I'm living in that you never know. And we all live in you never unexpected things just happens.
Well, they say make some plans and watch God laugh. Isn't that what they say? Something like that. What's the saying? Make some plans.
Close to that.
Something like that.
I gotta find that one.
Listen, it is the truth. Because every time I'm like, you know what? You know, and you hear, like, I remember, you know, when you talk about your mom. My mom she was a stay-at-home mom for majority of my childhood. And I remember looking at her saying, I don't ever want to do this. This is boring. And God, I was like, I'm gonna make sure I go to school. I'm gonna get my degree.
Right.
I'm gonna get my master's. I was working, blah blah blah, and it all came to a halt. We moved about 11 times, and God was like, "See, watch what you say." 11 times. But watch God laugh. He's like, I thought you didn't want to do this. Yep. Here you are.
So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about Embrace with Grace.
Yes.
Tell us about it. What made you start it? How can people get involved?
Yes. So Embrace with Grace was something I came up with 2 years ago in 2020. 2019, the ending of 2019 is where I decided to start this nonprofit organization. And I just, I had my first event in Boston in January of 2020 when I put it out, and women came. Oh my God, it was amazing. Why I started it is, it goes back to our conversations when I was lost, and I told you I got closer to God, and mentally and spiritually I wasn't there. I was literally in a place of feeling lost where I didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't know what I liked, what I wanted to do. Like, I just was all over the place. And the closer, like I said, my relationship with God, that's when he started revealing to me. And people will come to me with their problems. And I'm like, I'm in a place myself. I need help too. But it kind of gave me a glimpse of what it was, of my purpose. And because they will love to talk to me, and when they leave around me or get off the phone with me, they will say, I needed that. Like,
yeah.
Remember you said
do
this
seem
to
like
me?
an easy person to talk to.
She is.
Oh.
Like, you just like, you happen, you feel like you have known you for an extended period of time.
Oh, thank you.
Beautiful soul.
Thank you. And that's so crazy. And that's that right there, I just start asking God, like, if I'm here, what is my purpose? Like, and it got, so one time I was, like I told you, I was a rapper, so I know how to rhyme a little bit. So I was like, okay, embrace. The word embrace kept popping up. And I'm like, embrace your purpose. I'm like, no, that sounds too, and I just kept coming up with these like names, and I'm like, embrace with grace. Because it takes a lot of grace. It takes a lot of grace to be in a position like this. Honestly, you have to have extended grace to deal with difficult people in difficult times. And you have to be we say, we sacrifice. And we have to be genuinely okay with what it is, because the picture is so much bigger than just you. Our calling is bigger than us.
Yes.
So that's where grace come in from. So I just want to learn, like, I'm learning to embrace my life with full of grace, with the ups, with the downs, with the ins and the outs. And that right there, with the unexpected, with all of that, you have to have grace for it. And you have to be like, I just learned to be there. I'm a people's person. Like, I want to see people grow. I remember being in a dark place in my life. I remember being confused. I remember being hurt. I remember the dark times, the downs, and I remember having to get myself back up and say, put your big girl pants on. Like, you still got somewhere to go. God will never leave you or forsake you, like I said earlier. And that's when I just started to do the nonprofit, and actually that got me to the place with mental health. Like, I wasn't big on mental health, and that alone, going through that phase in 2019-ish, going to 2020 when I had my first little girl, it got me there. I stopped when I had Journey because I was like literally everywhere. But I came up with it 2 years ago. Then I found out I was pregnant again when Journey turned 4 months. And I really was like, I can't run no business. I'm a mother of 4 now. Like, what is this? Like, I was...
Yeah. Hey, one thing about Shirdkevia Jackson, she is fertile, ladies and gentlemen. Listen. She is fertile. She got 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Listen, 4 months, I would have...
I'm like, what is this? Yes, I could. Oh, Lord.
But you still did it. And I think it's great that you decided to start this nonprofit because, to your point of living in the inner city and knowing everything that you had to go through growing up, you're giving these other girls out there, the tools and the hope and the education and the inspiration to do different, to be more, to aspire for more, to achieve more. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I always feel like giving back and thinking about the things that we wish we could have learned or we would have known, giving that to somebody else that was our age, that's the blessing behind it. So I think Embrace with Grace is perfect for that.
Yes. So I am planning a Miami event in January.
Okay.
The first week of January, I believe it's the 7th. This is on a Sunday. I'm not sure. My planner just called me earlier, but I'm starting my new year in 2023 going for full gas, no brakes.
Love.
I'm going to do these events. I'm going to get back with my journaling. I used to sell journals. I would have live videos.
Candles too, right? Candles?
I was selling candles. Yes. So I have to get back in that. I'm writing a book. I just want to, I'm taking it slowly by shortly, but I'm so excited. I feel like we need this.
Yeah.
We need it. And
what's the event? You said January 7th. What type of event is it?
It's a women empowerment event. I'm going to have guest speakers. I didn't come up with the name yet, what kind of name to throw on the flyers and stuff like that.
Well, you have to give us the information. When you get it all, give it to us and we'll put it out there. So
I am. And I'm so excited.
And we'll come.
And we going to turn up.
Come and support.
We going to come. We going to be city girls for the weekend. Hey,
we going to be weekend. What they say, flued out.
Yes. We going to get flued out and be city girls for the weekend. Let's go. Let's go.
No, that is awesome.
Oh my God. Yes. I love it. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. I really, really do. And I'm so excited. And I feel like, we in our prime, and if you gonna watch me, you gonna watch God's glory. Because I ain't got nothing else to show you, baby.
That's awesome. I love that. Okay, we're gonna switch it up real quick and we're gonna play a game called the 2-minute drill.
Okay.
So we're gonna ask you a few questions.
Okay.
And we're going to see what you know. We're going to have some fun times. You ready?
Okay. I'm so ready.
All right. So the 2-minute drill starts now. City or suburbs?
Suburbs.
I just knew you were going to say city, but okay. But favorite designer?
My favorite designer. I would say I like Chanel, and I do like Balenciaga.
Okay. But you only say one. Okay. If you could do anything right now, what would it be?
Anything?
Anything.
Ooh. I need to go out the country right now. By myself.
Listen.
Say less.
Girl. Favorite thing to eat?
Hot wings.
East Coast or West Coast?
West Coast.
Okay.
How many points do you get for a safety?
Is it 2 points?
You got it.
Oh, okay.
Favorite team colors?
I like red and blue.
The person that hikes the ball to the QB is called what? Who?
Oh.
She like, that is not my side of the ball.
He's right in the middle. I'll give you
the center.
Hey, there we go. Okay. Favorite person you'd like to meet one day?
Sarah Jakes.
Okay.
What is next for you?
For my platform to be a movement to the millennial generation.
Ooh, that's beautiful. That's the way you end it right there. Okay, so let everybody know, Shirdkevia, if they want to get a hold of you, where do they find you? How can they look you up?
Well, you can find me on Instagram for sure.
Okay. What's your IG handle?
Is Shirdkevia, Shirdkevia. The D is silent, Shirdkevia. You can find me there. I believe I have Embrace with Grace Instagram name in my bio. You can also click on that, and I believe it can send you straight to my email from there. And that'll be a perfect way to reach me if you need any advice or when you want to stay updated with the upcoming events and live videos that I'm working on. And yeah.
Nice. I'll make sure to put links in the show notes.
And I really, really appreciate you. Atoya,
shout out to Shirdkevia, okay?
Tia, I like Tia too. Tia be
Shout
chilling. Tia like in a cut. Like, yeah. Toya gonna bring the life of the party. She gonna get up, girl. Let's go. You know,
YOLO.
I love it.
Okay?
I love it.
No, but thank you so much for joining us. You were amazing, and we
thank you.
We can't wait to come hang out with you in Miami in January.
I can't wait either.
That was such a fun conversation with Shirdkevia.
She is freaking hilarious, and I
She
see why
is.
everybody come to her telling her their life stories, because her ass is funny. Okay,
She really is, and I just love how she came from, these humble beginnings and where she is now, still being humble, having a great sense of humor, and just really showing people that you can give back no matter what you've been through. You can always give back to others. So Embrace with Grace was a great idea. I loved it.
Yeah, and her transparency and just being vulnerable with where she is and where she was. Like, I don't want to just look like I have it together. I want to actually have it together. Like,
Yes.
that is a message, especially young girls, that they need to hear, because that social media highlight reel from everybody will have you thinking the otherwise. So thanks again for coming on.
Yes. All right. Well, that's our show for the latest on the Inside Lines podcast. Make sure to follow us on Inside Lines podcast on both Instagram and Facebook.
And make sure to check us out on our website, insidelinespodcast.com. And I'm starting to think y'all don't like this whole speak pipe situation, okay? Y'all be texting us, DMing us, everything else, but leave us a voicemail so we can actually insert it into the episode.
Yes.
Speakpipe.com/insidelines.
We gonna put y'all on. Did y'all hear that? We gonna put y'all on. Maybe we should have started with that, Tia. Leave us a voicemail so we can post y'all. Okay, that's what it's for. Well, that's all for our show. Until then, leave it all out on the field. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.